I just want to play football, that's all it is. Obviously, I'm at the best team in the world. I know that, the talent here is unbelievable. The players in my position are, world-class players. Yeah, I just relish being on the pitch. I relish playing with the best players in the world and against some of the best players in the world.
The official Manchester City podcast.
Paul Dickov, Kalvin Phillips is our guest on this occasion. What are your thoughts ahead of talking to Kalvin?
Yeah, really looking forward to it. I think we all know he's not just a top footballer, but he's a really good guy as well. Very honest, and just looking forward to hearing about his journey. Obviously playing for his boyhood club at such a young age, going through, and then obviously getting the move here to Man City, and it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm delighted we've got him on because he is so unaffected, isn't he? He's not kind of your typical footballer. He still seems like relatable, if you like. Do you know what I mean? He's a very normal, humble guy, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know him a little bit more, actually. I mean, you know him sort of reasonably well. I mean, what's your impression of him?
He's just super, super humble guy off the pitch. Loves his football, 100% loves football, and is desperate the right word, just really wants to do so well here. He had his injuries last season. Maybe not worked out as what he thought it would have been when he came, but he's desperate to do well here, and I think getting minutes yesterday will do him the world of good, and I just hope he can get a run of injury-free few months, and then we'll see the best of him.
He certainly looks in good shape. I mean, we're recording this podcast actually the day after City have beaten Nottingham Forest, and he came off the bench and gave a really good performance and looked sharp. And I think as well, we were talking earlier, Paul, that there is a feeling, isn't there, of people wanting him to do well, and I think that comes from what you've just been saying about his humility and what a good person he is. People know that about him, don't they? They feel it, and therefore you're kind of like rooting for him a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think everybody in the ground, from the fans to myself watching it, to the players on the bench, the players in the stand, the coaching staff, everybody in the ground when he came on, you just sensed that they wanted him to do so well, and I think that says a lot about his character and how he handles himself.
Yeah, he's a thoroughly decent person. Right, let's get on with it then. Here it is, our interview with Kalvin Phillips.
How I started was probably just playing on the street. I've got a younger brother, and me and my brother used to play out all the time. And I can remember being at primary school, and I had two friends that played for Wortley Boys in Leeds, which was like a Sunday League grassroots team. It's now Wortley Juniors. They asked me if I wanted to come because I must have seen, obviously at school, that I was playing a lot of football and stuff. And his dad came to my mum and was like, "Oh, well, I'd love to take him." And I went, and I think it just went from there. Me and my brother just loved kicking the ball around the street, and yeah, we used to just have a good time. And even in the house, whenever we had a ball in the house, we used to be smashing stuff in the house and stuff, so Mum would get pretty annoyed.
Was there somebody along the way who kind of spotted talent in you and made you believe this is something I could do?
It was more probably just my mum, really. She knew that, I was probably better than, the kids that I was playing with at the time, and I started playing, for the age group above, and then 2 age groups above, and I think when I got to that point, I was like, well, if I'm playing a few ages above, then I must be doing something right. And then, to be fair, I didn't get scouted for a long time. I didn't get scouted until I was like 14, which I thought it was a good thing, to be honest, because I think when you're brought into an academy quite young, there's quite a lot of pressure on you to perform every single year, and
yeah,
I never had that pressure. I just got to enjoy football with my friends and enjoy just playing football and having fun. But I think it works in different ways. Obviously, if you're scouted young, you're getting top quality coaching from a young age, and you understand the game a lot better. So it kind of works in 2 ways. And luckily, I've been able to go through a different career path than many, and I made my professional debut when I was 18, 19 at Leeds. So
do you think that made you a bit more determined because you had been through the academy system to that point, that when you got that chance at 14 you were like, this is it now?
Yeah, I think so. I think just at the fact that I've never, I'd always been at the same team. I'd never really changed teams. I'd literally changed club team probably 6 months before I went to Leeds on trial. So yeah, I think it was just the fact that I'd heard of a few people that had been scouted at a young age, and by the time it came to like 16 scholar age, they kind of just lost the love a little bit with football. So, but I've always loved football anyway. Me and my family always loved football, my brother as well. And yeah, I don't know, it was just a little bit of luck. I think I was getting to the age where, if I didn't quite get scouted at 14, 15, then, I'd have to look at something else to do, or I'd still play football, but I'd know that, the chance to get scouted would probably fizzle out a little bit. But, I was quite lucky in a way where I did get picked up at that age, and, I was introduced into a great group of people as well at Leeds United. So yeah.
So that route in has just worked for you then, hasn't it? It sounds like you got to enjoy yourself, enjoy the game, and you weren't exhausted by the system, if you like, before you entered it, because you entered it a bit later. Now, for other people, like you say, that might not work, but for you, that sounds like the ideal way of doing it.
You weren't by choice, to be honest.
No, but as in just the way it's worked, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, like I'd always be asking my mum if people had come up to her and spoke to her about, maybe going for trials somewhere, and there's a few here and there, Middlesbrough, Huddersfield, and stuff like that. But I kind of only wanted Leeds, to be honest, because that's the club that I supported, and yeah, eventually it came, and I just thought this is my chance to kick on as a footballer now.
What did it feel like to make your senior debut for Leeds? The club you'd loved and all that kind of stuff. You must want to bottle that feeling and get it out anytime you need a boost for the rest of your life, kind of thing.
No, yeah, it's an amazing feeling. You can't quite explain how good the feeling is. For me, it was literally like I was playing in, one of the younger age groups, because I had so many younger players in the team at the time. I had about 5 or 6 players that I'd played with since I'd got to Leeds, so it was a lot more comfortable for me to, enter the first team scene. But then after that, obviously, Leeds were in a bit of a limbo. There was chopping and changing managers all the time, so I just got to enjoy, the experience at the time. And I can remember my first game for Leeds was Wolves away, 4-3. We lost, and it's still one of the best games I've ever played in. So,
tell us about Bielsa, because I know he obviously. Pep has a very kind of close ideological connection with him, but he really kind of improved you a lot, didn't he, in pretty much every aspect of the game. I mean, how important is it to meet somebody along your journey who you just connect with and see something in you, and he's so good at his job?
Yeah, it's amazing. Obviously, I didn't really know much about him before he came to Leeds. I just knew that he was a very intense manager, and you didn't really want to get on the wrong side of him. And, from day one, when he came in, you could just sense the aura about him, the way that he worked, and, how passionate he was for the game. And it was a little bit awkward because obviously he didn't know anybody's name, so he just named people by the numbers. And I can remember getting named number 4, and I looked around and I was like, number 4? Because I'd never played in that position before. I was more like a number 8, or played a little bit higher up. But yeah, it was obviously a decision that, he looked at the way that I played, and he knew that I'd fit into his system playing in that position. And
how did you find that? Because you were more further forward, didn't you?
Yeah,
as an attacking wise.
Yeah, it was difficult because obviously I didn't really see myself as a defender. Obviously, I loved the tackle and stuff, but defensive work wasn't really in my mind at that point. I was more just about getting on the ball, spraying passes, and then try to get in the box late and score a few goals. But yeah, it was difficult at first, but then I think just in the way that he set up his drills and how particular he was, and how much he wanted something, if you didn't do it right, would do it again. And you could be out on the training pitch for 2 hours, 2.5 hours doing the same thing because he wanted you to be perfect at it. And you got to points where you was tired at some stage, and you'd be like,
come on, Gaffer, turn on, sort of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, all in all, is, the way that we worked definitely improved me as a player. It improved me as a person as well. And, obviously you've seen, the climb Leeds made when he first came in there. And obviously I got the chance to come to the best team in the world, which, is a lot of it's down to him as well.
You talk about Leeds' climb there, but your own personal climb, pretty rapid, really. I mean, when you think about you playing regularly in the Championship, and not long later you were a key part of England being, making it to the first major final since '66. tell us about that. I mean, what was that like? A bit of a blur, or made your family proud along the way, and must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was more like I was surprised at it, to be honest. At first, when I first got called up for England and stuff, that was a surprise because I was still playing in the Championship. I think Leeds had just been promoted, but I'd not played in the Premier League before I kicked the ball for England, and yeah, it was just, I don't know what it was. It was just, whenever I went to England, I just worked hard and worked my socks off when I was there in training, and got along with the manager really well. And I think he kind of understood me as a player and as a person as well, and it just made it a lot easier for me to be comfortable around obviously all the big names that was in the England team. And because I'm quite a shy person, when I first go in somewhere, I don't really talk to anybody. I just kind of do my own thing and get along with whatever I'm doing. And but yeah, the Euros was unbelievable. I can remember there was one game, obviously the Croatia game was a good game for me personally because I got the assist and I played well, but I think it was the Denmark game and we won in was it the semi-finals?
I wasn't watching.
It was the semi-finals.
Scotland went out too early for me in that one, so.
It was the Denmark game, and I can remember where we won that game in extra time. Obviously, emotions were all over, and we knew that we made it obviously to the final. And I can just remember having my family in the stands and stuff, and we were just singing Sweet Caroline on the pitch, and all the fans were joining in. It was a moment that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk a lot about your family, don't you? I mean, you're a very sort of family-orientated person. One of the things I've always liked about you and the things that you say, I had a bit of a similar thing. So like my mother worked 3 jobs, didn't see her as much as I maybe would have liked when I was younger, but she did that to kind of to give me a better life and what have you, which I think is something similar I've seen you say in the past. And then a byproduct of that is I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, who was a very important person in my life as well. So just the influence of women for me has been really important. Is that an important influence in your life as well, that having a group of women who sort of rally around and try and make you the best you can be, basically?
Obviously, a lot of people have heard my story, but my mum was a single mum. She worked 2-3 jobs during the week, try and get food on the table and try and take us to football. And when I got scouted by Leeds, obviously I stayed in digs at the time because it was close to the training ground. So, and obviously it helped my mum out a lot because she didn't have to worry about one more mouth to feed or somebody to wake up for morning for school and stuff like that. So
eased her load a little bit then, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But then obviously when my mum was working and stuff, she'd work all day, come home, maybe have enough time to make us some food, or if not, she'd take us over to my grandma's and we'd stay at my grandma's all night until my mum finished work at night as well. And yeah, that's when I spent loads of time with my gran, who, she was an amazing woman. Very funny, very particular, but she had a very good humour about her. And I just love spending time with the women in my family. And I've been with my girlfriend since I was 14 as well. So I met her before all the football started and stuff like that. So, and then I've got a twin sister and a younger sister who, they always push me to be a better person, but they're also there for me when I need them as well. So
one of your sisters are very organised and looks after things. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, she's I don't know, she acts like the oldest.
Yeah.
She's younger than me by a couple of minutes, but she acts like the oldest sibling, and she's very bossy, but she always gets stuff done, and she always makes sure, say, if it's mum's birthday or Valentine's Day, she always makes sure that I've got flowers for my girlfriend or a present for mum or a card for mum and stuff like that. So just making sure that I don't forget things.
Yeah, I've got a sister like that. They're very, very useful, actually, aren't they, at times? Paul, I was interested that Kalvin said shy, he's a shy person, maybe when he comes into a new squad. Did you ever experience that in your playing days where a new player would come in, you sense the force of personality, and with the ways that you kind of coax them in a little bit?
I think even if you're not shy, it's difficult. I think like you've only known Leeds till you came here and sort of going into England, so That's your safety net, isn't it? Because you know the club, you know the team. That's such a comfortable environment to go into, and I don't care what MD says. You can be the most confident or be a little bit shy. It's really daunting when you go into a new club because you're in with your peers, but you don't want to seem over arrogant or overconfident. You know, you just want to be accepted more than anything else. And you know, any player that does that, you want to go and you want to be accepted by your teammates, the people within the club, and it takes a little bit of time for the real you to come out, and that happens.
Who helped you settle here? Because it's a squad of, you know, big names there, and coming into that I'm sure is massively daunting. But we've got a really good squad ethos and stuff like that. So was there anybody particularly who was really good with you in that kind of early period?
I'd probably just say most of the English lads is like Kyle Walker, John Stones, Jack Grealish, Phil Foden. They all, and Scotty as well. Because I've been at England with all them boys, and then Scotty, I just knew he was a class guy, and he'd always make me feel welcome anywhere. They just, I don't know, they just helped me settle in. I don't know what it was that they did. They probably just involved me in a lot more things. Whenever we was going out for meals and stuff, they'd just say, "Oh, come out we're going out for something to eat, do you want to come?" and stuff like that. So, and then there was obviously Stefan, who I'm really good friends with in the squad. He came at the same time as me, so I got along with him really well. And to be honest, I get along with everyone. Like at first, obviously I was quiet, but then, you know, once the nervousness and the shyness went away, I think, you know, I speak to everyone, I get along with everybody, and you know, that's what type of person I am. If I went to a new club, I'd just try my best to fit in as quick as possible and just make myself feel, you know, better every single day by speaking to people, getting different experiences and listening to other people's stories as well.
It's a genuinely good dressing room, isn't it? I mean, yeah. We speaking before, some of the coaches tell me like it's the best it's ever been at this football club, you know, which is great. You seem a bit of a rarity in football because you're very relatable and almost unaffected by being a very good, famous footballer. Do you feel football's changed you in any way, or are you still the same Kalvin you were at 14?
I still feel I'm as young as still feel a lot younger than what I am. Obviously, I'm 27, going on 28, and you know, I kind of in the change room, I kind of speak to young lads a lot more than what, you know, I'd speak to the older boys. I don't know why that is. I don't know whether it's just because I feel young in myself, or whether I just, you know, I can understand and relate to the younger lads a lot more. Or, you know, I try and help them through different situations, training sessions and stuff. Or if they're even feeling down, I always, you know, just ask them if they're all right and stuff, what's bothering them. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm that bit in between where, you know, I can always go to the older guys for advice and speak to them. And then, you know, when the young lads need advice, I can be the one that's like in between, like saying what they're saying. So
that's really good. I mean, the academy system here is unbelievable and very different probably to when you were playing, Paul. But what do you think of the quality of player we are producing now? Because it is pretty remarkable, isn't it now?
Yeah, it's frightening. I think some of the players that I've trained with, you know, not even just, obviously you've got Phil, who's, you know, one of the best young players in the world. You've got Rico, who's, you know, he's not played as much as what he liked, but I think once he starts playing, last year he was unbelievable when he played, and I think once he starts playing regularly, he'll just climb and climb and climb. And you've got more young lads like there's Micah in the under-21s. There's a few more who, you know, you see him every day in training. Obviously, you know, the first session they're always a little bit nervous and stuff like that. But I think, you know, once they get that out of the way and, you know, they're comfortable with the people that they're training with, then you can just see them grow and grow and grow as footballers. And, you know, I think that's important. I think because when I first came, I never thought it would be like that. I thought, you know, the academy boys would just train separate, and, you know, the first team would be separate as well. And they kind of use the academy boys a lot more than what I thought they would. And, you know, I think that's amazing because it kind of...
Pep gets them in to mirror the team we're about to play, is that right?
Yeah, and obviously I've seen some of the scorelines and the way that, you know, the young lads have played in games and stuff. It's frightening. Yeah, it is really good. And, you know, the coaches and stuff, obviously at the academy level, need to be proud of them because, you know, they are building talent for, you know, next years to come. And I think obviously, you know, if we keep working hard, then a lot more players will come through to the first team.
How would you assess your time at City so far? Obviously, you've not played as much as you would have liked, but we're sat here today actually recording this podcast the day after a very strong performance from yourself against Nottingham Forest. I mean, firstly, delighted with the way you played yesterday, but how would you kind of assess everything, since you've come to City?
Yeah, I'd probably say it's been long-winded. It's been frustrating because of the injuries and stuff. And I think the first year I always knew that, if I didn't play much anyway, I'd always, take time to just try and understand the way that Pep wants me to play and stuff like that. And, that time has grown a little bit longer through the injuries that I've had. And, I think after that, I just got my head down, worked hard in pre-season and then came back and just want to play football. That's all it is. Obviously, I'm at the best team in the world. I know that, the talent here is unbelievable. The players in my position are, world-class players. And any chance I get to play, obviously, I'm up for it. I'm always ready. And I think, obviously, yesterday was a good example because, I never expected, Rodri to come off with a red card and us be at 10 men. But then, obviously, the manager looked at me and gave me the opportunity, and I just thought I need to perform in some sort of way, and luckily I did that, and I was I wouldn't say I was happy with my performance, but I was just glad that obviously we didn't concede, and I played a little bit of a part in that as well.
Are you a confidence player, do you feel? Because some players are kind of, they're not, it doesn't affect, confidence doesn't affect their performance as much maybe, but then other players, you probably played with some in your time, Paul, where they needed to feel the love. I mean, we had Jack Grealish on, didn't we, on the podcast recently, and he said pretty much that when Pep has backed him and played him, that's when he's felt more confident, and therefore his performances have followed.
I think that goes hand in hand, though, doesn't it? The confidence comes with getting minutes and getting games, and the more games you get, the more confident you get, don't you?
I think, confidence is a massive part of it. Obviously, I never thought before I came here that, confidence would be a problem in my game because, I was playing at Leeds every single week, and, even when I come back from injury, I always knew that there's a chance that if I was fit, I'd play. But it's not necessarily the case here, and you've got to be in top shape to play. You've got to be in 100% physical ability to play, and even if you are that, there's obviously other players that are in the same situation as you that, might have trained better than you that week, or, be a major part of the team for years before that. But I'd probably say this last year or so, some of the confidence hasn't been, the best. But I think, the more and more I play, the more minutes I get, and that's another thing when I go with England. Obviously, I play as well, and Gav Southgate trusts me a lot to play with me as well. So I think, obviously, the time that I go away with England, it gives me a lot of confidence because I know there's a chance that I'm going to play, and then to come back, I'm obviously in better shape. I'm obviously more confident then, and then come back from international duty, and then obviously get the chance like yesterday to play. And I just relish being on the pitch. I relish, playing with the best players in the world and against some of the best players in the world, and that's what I want to do. So
we have a set of questions that we asked every guest, so we're going to run through those with you. So the first one is, what one thing you would change about football? And when we first started asking this, it was very much about the rules of the game, but actually we've just broadened it out now to just football generally. If there's one thing you could change, what would it be?
I'd like it to go back to old school rules. You're allowed to tackle, not a yellow card straight away.
There is a lot of protection of players, and it's a fine.
Offsides, handballs, all that sort of. There was no grey area there, was there?
Yeah. I mean, I sometimes watch Premier League years on Sky, and you watch the sort of mid 90s to 2000s, and the tackles were
Patrick Vieira and Roy Keane.
Yeah, I mean, it's different, isn't it?
It's class.
Yeah. I'd say that. I'd say old school rules.
A bit more.
Obviously, I know it's protection, for the players and stuff, and I understand that. Which nowadays, in this day and age, you've got to look after your players and stuff like that. But I just feel like old school rules suits me down.
Do you think maybe it's gone a little too far with the protection thing, and that the tackles have been not outlawed?
I think so. I think because some people can. They can simulate a little bit, they can dive and stuff, and it gets to that point where, if people are diving and they're getting penalties and stuff, then, the blame gets on the ref and stuff like that. So, I think if you just take it back to old school rules, a foul's a foul, and if you don't blow up, then it's not a foul.
Sounds like when you were playing, Paul.
I loved it, yeah.
What was the last thing you binged? Is there like a book you've read, a series you've watched on Netflix, a film that you loved, something culturally that you really enjoyed?
Not the last thing that I've been. My favourite one's Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Love Game of Thrones. I've watched it about 4 times all the way through, and there's that new one out, House of Dragons as well. I've watched that. I'll probably say the last thing that I've watched was The Equalizer 3.
Yeah.
Went to the cinema to watch that. I like Denzel Washington, so I watch all his films.
To watch Game of Thrones 4 times, that's quite dedicated, because there's a lot of it in there. I've never watched it, but there's loads of it.
There's 8 seasons of Game of Thrones, but
I loved it. But you've got to watch it again to remember what's happening.
Yeah, you got to watch it again and over to understand exactly what's going on. And like, the more you watch it, the more you realise.
So you get more each time you watch it, you're getting more from it.
So and so, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Kalvin. We really appreciate you coming on. We know you've trained this morning, having played yesterday. You probably just want to go and enjoy your Sunday, but thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
No problem. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
The official Manchester City podcast.
There we have it, our interview with Kalvin Phillips there, who was typically unguarded and typically honest, which that's exactly what we want on this podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and you wouldn't have expected anything less, and just interesting talking about the confidence side of games as well. And I think I said in there, I don't care what player it is, if you need minutes on the pitch to start getting that confidence to be at your best again. He said he's getting that when he goes away with England, and I think everybody involved in Manchester City wants him to get the minutes on the pitch and show, and for him to show about what Kalvin Phillips can do.
They love him, and the information I've had is that the England South think extremely highly of him. Gareth and the technical staff, and he's very, very highly regarded, isn't he?
He is, and you can see why when you see him play, and he is here. He's just he's been unfortunate with his injuries, probably up against the best defensive midfielder in Rodri in the competition for him as well.
Best number 6 in the world is ahead of him, yeah.
And and Kalvin has said there he'll bide his time when he gets his chance. Hopefully that's going to be within the next few games. They're already being suspended, and he'll take it. I'm sure he will.
Such a family man as well, which is one thing I really love. Comes across every time he talks. It's so genuine, that, isn't it? The love he has for those.
It is, and that can be a big release, not just for Kalvin. It's a release for the players sometimes. It's that intense when they're in the training ground, intense from Monday to Friday, midweek games, Saturdays. And to have a good family behind you, and obviously Kalvin has that. It's huge for players.
I'd have liked to have, if we'd had more time, maybe spent a little bit more time on Bielsa, because I feel like there was little smirks and smiles there. That there's definitely some great stories of that guy, isn't there? You played under a lot of different managers. Your perception of him from afar, Bielsa, look, pretty unique character, isn't he?
He did, in the nicest possible way. I used to think it was a little bit weird. But then, I think if Andy's got any doubts about Bielsa, we've got the best manager in the world. Probably one of the best managers that's ever been, that talks so highly of him. So I think that tells a story in itself. And speaking to Kalvin, obviously I played for Leeds at a short spell. There's still some people there that I know. And the biggest thing was attention to detail. And Kalvin touched on it there, and they said we could be out there for 2.5 hours sometime working the same thing till they got it right. But obviously watched, because we got them back into the Premier League, where a lot of Leeds fans felt that they'd been away for too long.
I also found it really interesting when he just openly admitted how he is shy and he struggles to integrate, which, I don't know, to hear a footballer say it's nice, it's quite refreshing actually, because we all have anxieties, we all have those things that fly through our mind. Are we confident enough, are we good enough to do this? But it's in football, it's almost like you can't admit stuff like that sometimes. It's quite a tough environment.
It is, and it's, especially back when I played, that was seen as a weakness, so you'd have to put on this front all the time. When you did, the anxiety does kick in, especially, and we spoke about it, when you do go to a new club. It plays in your mind until you get the first couple of days out of the way, even though you might have played against them or you might know some of them. There's just that pressure you put on yourself to be accepted by your teammates. It's huge.
The same with any job, presumably. We've all done that, haven't we? We've all changed jobs, gone to different places, and the night before it's horrible. So yeah, but no, to hear him talk about it, I really enjoyed. And just one final thing, I mean, he's just a thoroughly decent chap, isn't it? And it's quite nice actually to know that we've got players like that in Manchester City squad, I think.
And I think it's paramount in any player that we sign now. The recruitment, we all know, is fantastic. but it's what's the person like first, because they've got to come into what is already, we've said, an unbelievably close, tight-knit changing room, and they've got to fit into that. And I do know that the recruitment side of things with the club, who the person is, what they're like, is a huge part of it. It's obviously being talented helps.
Thanks so much, Paul. Really
Pleasure.
appreciate it.
Anytime.
And those of you listening at home, thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever it is you do your podcast listening. And until next time, take care of one another, and please do join us again soon.
The official Manchester City podcast. Subscribe and follow now so you never miss an episode.